It's returned on the books here across the 30-yard line to the 31 or 32. And that's where Air Force will take over on offense. Brett Cooper with the tackle. So the Falcons, seems like every time they get any kind of something going, a turnover, a penalty, something sets them back. What can they do here?
Yeah, you look at there as a result of that fumble, only 23 yards, but it resulted in a field goal. And they're still keeping their starting quarterback, Sean Carney, on the sideline. He had a glove as he came out at halftime. He might have had some stitches in there, but he could not look like he had trouble pitching the ball with his left hand.
Exactly right, which is an Air Force quarterback is a huge problem. This is Fitch. Fitch trying to throw the ball out to Kirkwood. Well read by BYU. Justin Robinson breaks it up. The pass also high and behind Greg Kirkwood. Second and 10 for the Falcons from the 31-yard line. Again, Fitch back to pass under some heavy pressure, and he'll be sacked in the backfield at the 26. Great defensive play for the Cougars and Justin Lukeroth. Where BYU has done a great job throughout this afternoon of well reading what Air Force is trying to do. We'll get another look at this one.
Well, what happened there is you see Brown got the penetration in there, forced him to go outside, and Lukeroth had the containment. So he forced him right into Lukeroth, and he gets credit for the sack. So that's Mania Brown. You got to give him half a sack on that to force the quarterback out of the pocket.
Boy, when Brown is healthy, he can cause quite a disruption in the opponent's backfield. Third down now, 3rd and 14 for the Falcons. Fitch with some time, and it's busted up at the line of scrimmage. Markel Staffery gets a big paw on that one to knock it down. So yet again, Air Force will be forced into a punting situation, and we'll look at Staffery and his work on this one.
There it is, just a 5-step drop, and he gets his hands up on the line of scrimmage, and they were trying to throw a little out route. He was open, but credits Staffery for a nice standing jump reach there to block that down.
Staffery goes 6'3", used every bit of that one. Heavy pressure by the Cougars. Nate Mickle will field it right at the 40-yard line and maybe pick up a yard. Penalty flags again will fly late here. Extracurricular activity on the field. The penalty is a personal foul against the Air Force Falcons, so that sets BYU up in Falcon territory at the 44-yard line, leading here 31-7. Beck still in this ball game. Shotgun formation. He'll hand the ball off to Curtis Brown as BYU looks to establish that running game. Brown down to the 41-yard line. Josh Clayton in on the tackle. Second and 8, Cougars. Beck again in a shotgun look. This is Fahu Tahi. Tahi with some blockers out in front of him. Great block by Dallas Reynolds, and Fahu Tahi picks up a BYU first down to the 32. Drew Fowler providing the tackle, but not before the Cougars get another first down. We get another look.
Now you'll see number 65, Reynolds, come into the picture there. Dallas Reynolds pulling out in front of the play, knocking down one of the cornerbacks, and Tahi, again, there's 5 guys trying to pull him down. He's such a strong runner that he's very difficult to tackle, and picks up another first down for the Cougars.
Reynolds at 6'4", 345. So give him credit for having any kind of speed whatsoever. BYU a first down at the 32. Beck with Watkins to the right side of this formation. Goes across the middle. This is Daniel Coates. Coates with another Cougar first down inside the 20-yard line to the 17 before Bobby Giannini can bring him down.
Well, that time they just run straight up the field and sit down in the open zone. Coates reads it well, sits down there, picks it up, gets about 6 or 7 yards after the catch. Nice play. Another first down.
Exactly right. Another first down for BYU. Curtis Brown in the backfield alongside John Beck. 3 wideouts in the pattern. Beck fakes to one side, comes back to the other. This is Todd Watkins. Watkins can't get away from a couple of defenders. Well read by Air Force. About a 3-yard gain.
Well, they're looking on that play. You saw John Beck do a little pump fake out to Watkins, and they're trying to get the defensive back to jump on that play. But after he pump faked, then he went back to him because they had the deep route covered. And you see that he's 4th in the country in passing yards, 317, and he's thrown for 2,219 yards, which is 5th in the country.
John Beck, impressive numbers in his junior campaign here at BYU. Immediately they go back. This is Coates. Coates gets around the corner. Touchdown, BYU. Boy, it looked like Daniel Coates was going to be stopped well shy of that goal line, but somehow squeaked around that corner and picks up a touchdown.
Yeah, prior to this game, Daniel Coates had 14 catches and 2 touchdowns, averaging 17 yards per catch. So now he's starting to get back into the action with he and Harleen alternating out there. They're quite a double threat for a quarterback to have a big target with a lot of speed out there with both guys.
Boy, and a look from the Air Force faithful tells the story here as McLaughlin's kick is on the way and good. We'll get another look at Daniel Coates escaping around that corner.
It's just a little quick pass, but look at the block out there by the wide receiver. It's hard to pick up his number, but that's what made that play happen. If you're not involved as a receiver, you got to make the block, get your guy into the end zone. And that's number 85 out there. Zach Cawley making the block, and the first guy that Daniel Coates should go hug is Zach Cawley because he made that play possible.
Cougars extend the lead to 38-7. Cougar faithful love it here in Provo. Robert and I looks on as we see the BYU scoring drive. 59 yards in just under 2 minutes. You know, we've talked a lot about Bronco Mendenhall this year, Gary, but we haven't spoken much about Robert and I and the job that he has done coming in from Texas Tech.
Well, he's also a former Cougar here, so he really has a tie into this program. And he's done a nice job of trying to figure out what his talent is. Here he's only been here, 1 year, and these are players he did not recruit. And he's finding out what kind of speed he's got, who's got the ability to go deep, who's got the ability to run the underneath coverage, and he's figuring that all out in a quick period of time. And he's starting to put up some impressive numbers, and he's helping John Beck develop it into one of the elite quarterbacks in the country.
Well, you're seeing it every week. This BYU offense just seems to get a little more in sync, a little more on the same page, and the numbers get more and more impressive, as you mentioned. So Jared McLaughlin is set to kick this ball away. That is Chad Hall back deep for Air Force. Hall and Smith, along with number 85, Greg Kirkwood. Kirkwood will field it deep in the end zone and not bring it out. So Air Force will take over at the 20. First down for the Air Force Falcons from the 20-yard line. Adam Fitch still in at quarterback. Carney still resting on the sidelines. The deep pitch to Chad Hall. Hall straight ahead for about 3 yards before Cale Buchanan brings him down. Second down and 7 for the Falcons. This is Chad Smith. Smith around the corner to the 26-yard line. Justin Maddox tackles him there. Now a third down for the Air Force. As you see total yards on the afternoon, BYU really starting to pull away in this one, 366 to 201. The Falcons now with a critical third down here, 3rd and 4, as Air Force tries to get any kind of momentum going. The deep pitch is out and out of bounds. That was Chad Smith, and Smith will pick up less than a yard to the 26. Cameron Jensen with a big hit at the end of this one as we'll get another look, Gary.
Here's the triple option again. Fake to the fullback, pitch to the running back. Now there's just no hole to go, and then you see Cameron Jensen kind of finish. That's Stafiri pushing him down after the play. But now it's football. That's the design of the game, is to push people and hit people.
Thanks for the clarification. Chris Karp now onto the field for the Air Force Falcons to punt this football away, and Nate Mickle will be standing at his own 32-yard line. The officials just about to say, looked like they were getting ready to give Air Force a sideline warning, and that's exactly what we saw there. So BYU will get the football back as they continue to dominate the Air Force Falcons this afternoon in Provo. Heavy rush. Karp gets this kick away, and it's a beauty. Drives Mickle back to his 25-yard line. Nate Mickle with some real estate in front of him, and Mickle fights ahead to the 38-yard line. 2 penalty flags, though, will be on the field. And we're watching a little bit of a scramble on the field as players continue to mix it up at the 35-yard line.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team number 41. 10-yard penalty. BYU keeps the ball. First down.
So all of that jostling on the field results in a block in the back is all. 10-yard penalty against the Cougars will back them up inside their own 30-yard line, and that's where their drive will begin. Spotted at the 27 as Watkins and company look on for the Cougars, and we'll see what they do here. John Beck still in at quarterback. 20 of 26, Gary, on the afternoon. 3 touchdowns, 225 yards. Impressive numbers.
Yeah, that is, you look at that, it's over 70% completion. And the one interception was a tip pass.
Cougars go back to the air attack. Across the middle, out near the first down marker, is Matt Allen for BYU, brought down there by Julian Madrid. And it looks like BYU trying to see if they can put another score on the board and then maybe think about bringing in some of the subs.
You know, and they're kind of in a no huddle here, so they're not allowing Air Force to get any substitutes into the game, and they're just continually being on the offensive. And instead of just sitting on the lead, they're trying to attack and get more points.
Inside handoff to Fahu Tahi out near the 45-yard line to the 44, about 5 yards. Julian Madrid in on the tackle. 2nd and 4 for the Cougars. Beck shotgun formation, 4 wideouts in this pattern. Beck under some pressure, gets away from the first couple of guys. Now he's going to run with the football and dives down at the 46-yard line. And Matt Berry, expect to see him later on in this ball game, waiting on the sideline for the Cougars. Tough. He hasn't seen a whole lot of action so far in this season.
Holding.
No, he hasn't. But, you know, I think he's taken it very well. He's been very supportive. To date, he's only thrown 1 pass. So I think there we have an injured player for the Falcons, number 80. That's Eric Anderson, the defensive end.
So we'll step aside for a moment while they deal with the injury. Eric Anderson helped off the field for the Air Force Falcons. Holding penalty against the Cougars, and they will go back on the offensive attack in a 2nd down and 14 situation. This is Beck. He finds Tahi over the middle. Fahu Tahi away from the first man. Gets a great block downfield from Todd Watkins, and finally driven out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. And again, extracurricular activity and penalty flags will fly.
Yeah, on this particular play, there's 4 flags on the field, and they're all thrown exactly the same spot. There's Beck flushed out of the pocket, hits Tahi. Then you notice that he escapes one tackle, just goes out of bounds, tries to step over top of him. And then behind the play, about 20 yards, there was some kind of clip.
We're going to go back 15 yards. BYU has earned a first down. After the play, it ended, personal foul. Offense number 84. 15-yard penalty. They keep the ball. First down.
So it's a first down against the Cougars, but they will catch Michael Reed in another personal foul. Boy, something to work on next week for both these ball clubs has been these penalties after the play, personal foul variety.
Yeah, it's been a fairly well-played game from a penalty standpoint. At halftime, BYU had 4 penalties for 30 yards, and Air Force 1 for 15. But it's the after the play is over personal fouls that both teams need to improve on.
And let's be honest, several extra hankies could have flown on any given play here. This is Curtis Brown. Brown straight ahead. It is a BYU first down to the 49-yard line. 4-yard gain on first down. Now 2nd down for the Cougars. John Beck under center, fakes the handoff to Brown, throws out to Harleen. Harleen with real estate in front of him. Johnny Harleen down to the 35-yard line.
This is just a little, watch Harleen check down like he's blocking, and then on the bootleg he escapes out. Little 5-yard pass, heads up the field. He had 3 receptions for 55 yards in the first half, puts a nice move on the DB there, cuts inside of him, and that's what we talked about with Johnny Harleen. In addition to his size, he's very quick.
Well, that's another BYU first down. First downs on the afternoon. The Cougars 25-11 on top of the Air Force Falcons. So BYU dominating in just about every facet of this ball game. This is Beck. Throws to Curtis Brown. Brown loses his footing and will be tackled down at the 30. Second down for the Cougars from the 30-yard line. Again, no huddle look for BYU. Beck shotgun formation, 3 wideouts in the pattern. Curtis Brown in the backfield. Beck finds some time, throws to Watkins, who is wide open but over his head. Incomplete for the Cougars.
Well, this is what they call a banjo coverage. We have 2 defensive backs out there, and they're reading the receivers. One goes out, and one comes inside, but they got mixed up. They came off the wrong receiver, and Watkins kind of stopped his route, so that's why Beck overthrew it. It's just one of those things, and you have an adjustment on a route. The quarterback and receiver have to be on the same page, and in that play, they weren't.
3rd down and 5 now for BYU. 4:22, you see the time remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Beck, again, back to pass. Great protection. Now he decides to run with the football, and he'll be dropped down at the 28-yard line, 3 yards short of the first down.
He does a nice job of stepping up inside of the pocket there to buy a little bit more time. Now look at the defenders coming right at him, but you teach the quarterback, step up. There you go. Now you look more down. And he had Watkins actually open behind him, but he didn't see him because he had the pressure there, and gets knocked down, and still puts him in field goal position here to try a 45-yarder.
Carson Bird, the sophomore out of Sharpsburg, Georgia, with the tackle to drop John Beck before he could reach that first down. Jared McLaughlin onto the field. 45-yard attempt, and people jumping all over the place. Air Force, I believe, was offsides. The kick is still good, though, by McLaughlin, but it would be enough for a Cougar first down. So here we go. You take points off the board in this situation, Gary?
You know, they might have said it happened early enough that the play doesn't even count. I think if the play counts, they take the points. But if it was earlier than the kick, then there'd be a 5-yard penalty. So that's what the discussion right now.
What a series of calls on that one. It was offsides against Air Force, also running into the kicker against Air Force. Offset, however, by an illegal formation against the Cougars. What does all that mean? Well, we're going to re-kick here. Here's McLaughlin back onto the field from 45 yards out. Hits the upright. No good. So the result of that series of catastrophes is BYU net -3 off the scoreboard. First down for the Falcons following the missed field goal, and it looks like Hall wanted to throw that football. Good coverage downfield, and he'll run forward for about 9 yards.
Yeah, that was the old play, Steve Young play. They ran against Missouri. Quarterback pitches out. Now he's running to the left. He fakes like he's going to run. He's going to throw back to the quarterback, but he's covered. So now he improvises and picks up a couple blocks, and then the quarterback doesn't make a block, and his man makes the tackle. So they come a little trickery at BYU.
Credit Quinn Gooch on that one, who stayed right with Adam Fitch, the quarterback, and broke that play up. Here's Fitch back to pass, wants to go up top, got some daylight, looking in the direction of Brown, incomplete. Victor Thompson, the intended receiver on that last play, incomplete. Now a 3rd down and a little more than a yard to go for the Air Force Academy. Straight ahead, dive to the fullback, be near the first down mark. 4th down for the Falcons, and they'll elect to go for it here. 4th and 1. This is Fitch straight ahead. I don't know if he got it. This will definitely take a measurement, and it looks from here that he'd be half a football length short.
They tried a quarterback sneak, but the BYU defensive line got underneath the lineman for Air Force and pushed the quarterback back. Then he tried to roll off. Look at this penetration. That's what hurts the quarterback sneak. He couldn't go anywhere, and then they grab his legs and they stop him a yard short.
Don't even need a measurement on that one. It's BYU football, so the defense holds at the 38-yard line. Cougars with the football at the 38-yard line as Robert and I looks on. We'll see how conservative the Cougars will like to go here. John Beck still in the game. This is Fahu Tahi. Tahi breaks the first couple of tackles, bounces to the outside, and picks up a Cougar first down inside the 25. First down, Cougars from the 25-yard line as time Continues to tick away here in the third quarter. Beck, long pass route, incomplete. Pretty good defense by Chris Sutton. No penalty flags. Boy, tough route to go on an out that far, Gary. We'll get another look.
Yeah, well, this is a timing route, but Beck throws the ball a little bit too late, allowing the defender to break on the ball. Reed was open a little bit earlier, and they were looking for Watkins over the middle on a post, but you see it hit him right on the end of his fingers and jammed his fingers back. Sometimes that's how you dislocate fingers against a football like that.
So Chris Sutton heads to the sideline. BYU second down. Beck finds Watkins. Watkins can't get away from his first defender and knocked down after a 5-yard gain. Third down, BYU from the 20-yard line. Third down, 5 yards to go. Beck under some pressure. Gets away from the first man, scrambling away, throws it well out of bounds, looking for Menashe Tonga. Jared McLaughlin onto the field to attempt a 37-yard field goal for the Cougars. McLaughlin's kick is on the way. And good. With 53 seconds in the third quarter, BYU extends the lead 41-7. Air Force back on the offensive attack with Adam Fitch. Less than a minute to play here in the third quarter. Fitch back to pass. Got some time, throws out in the flat. This is Jason Brown. Brown fumbles the football at the last minute, but I think it sailed out of bounds. It'll be Air Force ball at the 28. Fitch under center. Second down for the Falcons. Back to pass again. Got some time, throws out in the flat. Incomplete off the hands of the intended receiver, Chad Smith at the 40-yard line. Third down now for the Air Force Falcons. Fitch again back to pass in traffic, and somehow Brown comes up with that football at the 42. First down, Air Force at the 42-yard line. They may be able to get this play off before the third quarter comes to an end. Fitch under center. Again back to pass under some pressure. A hold in the middle that isn't caught. Jason Brown is going to go for the touchdown. Touchdown, Air Force.
What happened that time, Chris, is the wide receiver on the far left side, the BYU bench side, was uncovered. So the safety ran out there. He saw the receiver was not covered by the cornerback, so he says, I'm going to help you out. He went over and covered that receiver. Well, the corner figured out that he had left his man. He went over there too, and that's why there was such a wide open play in the middle of the field.
The play is under review. They're probably looking to see if Brown got into the end zone. After review, the touchdown by Jason Brown stands. This is Scott Eberle onto the field to attempt the extra point and put 14 points on the scoreboard for Air Force. Kick is on the way, and good. Time expires here in the third quarter. The Air Force Falcon likes to see the scoring 41-14 now. Back to begin the fourth quarter of action here at LaBelle Edwards Stadium. Chris Twitty alongside Gary Scheide. Waiting to see Matt Berry. Expect we might see him early in this fourth quarter as BYU with a commanding 41-14 lead. And we'll get a look at the third quarter stats in this one. Gary Scheide. Give us a sense of what's going on.
There you have BYU right about where they should be, 288 yards. They're going to be over the 300-yard mark. But look at the rushing. 165. BYU has outrushed Air Force Academy. I don't know when the last time that has happened. Total yards is a huge difference. BYU's only downfall is their penalties. But first downs, 28 first downs, that's a lot in the ball game. And 4 turnovers, that's going to hurt you anytime you play.
Keep in mind that Air Force has won 2 of the last 3 matchups against the Cougars, including their last meeting here in Provo, Utah. BYU trying to make amends for that as John Beck waits on the sidelines. BYU will get another crack on offense. Following the Jason Brown touchdown reception, Air Force will kick this ball away to the Cougars. Scott Eberle kicks deep to Breon Jones. Actually a short kick. Going to be muffed by the Cougars. One of the up men picked it up for a brief moment. And a mad scramble at the 15-yard line is where the Cougars will have the football. Cougars from the 16-yard line, straight ahead goes Curtis Brown. Brown across the 20 to the 22.
Curtis Brown on the carry.
Cougars now second down from the 22-yard line. Beck in the ball game under center. Stacked formation for the Cougars. This is Curtis Brown. Brown straight ahead, picking his hole, and will pick up a Cougar first down to the 28-yard line.
That's another Cougar.
BYU first down, and Curtis Brown now over 100 yards on the afternoon for BYU. Beck with a fake to Brown, throws across his body and back to Daniel Coates. Coates should have another BYU first down at 39. Penalty against the Cougars for an illegal substitution backs them up 5 yards. Now first down and 15. BYU back on the offensive attack. Quick toss out to Johnny Harleen. Harleen fights for yardage, picks up 5 more yards. Pass incomplete on second down to Curtis Brown. Now third down for BYU from the 37-yard line. Beck back to pass under some pressure. Steps away from the first guy, comes back to Watkins. Watkins incomplete, they say, at the 48-yard line.